To make your Frumpy Frog 2.0, you'll need some accessories, so some scissors, of course, a lighter I always have handy, a stitch marker or a couple of them, tapestry needle if you want to embroider the eyes. If you do have some big safety eyes, I will show you how you can use them as well, but I only have one back for these big safety eyes, so I'm not going to be able to use that because I can't find the other one. So I'm going to embroider my eyes with blanket yarn, white and black. You'll need some polyfill and then just your main color, whatever you want to use for this frog, one skein, so like 32 yards. We are going to start with a slip knot. You don't need to leave a very long tail, 4 to 6 inches is fine. To create our slip knot, you take your working yarn over that tail side, creating a loop, and then you pull up a loop through that loop. Tighten the knot by pulling on the tail. Adjust the size of your loop by pulling on your working yarn. Now, I like to knit fairly tight, so this is going to be a fairly tight 2 fingers width or a loose 1 finger's width worth of tension or loop size. We're going to be chaining on a total of 6, so this counts as our first one. So 5 more. So this is our foundation chain. I'm not going to count rounds yet. This first round is now what's coming up. So we're going to be knitting 5 on this side and then rotating it and 5 back on this side. So this one actually counts as our first knit of this round. So it's going to be, I'm just adjusting it so it's facing away from me. And then I'm going to pull up 4 more for a total of 5 on this side. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now taking my yarn tail to this side, take my working yarn over top of the slip knot, and now I'm going to be pulling up loops on the opposite side, 5 more as well. And then that last one has the 2 sticking out. So I'm going to start using my stitch marker. That was round 1. I do like to put my stitch marker in the first stitch of every round. So now we're just going to knit around those 10. Again, taking our loops, keeping them nice and close and tight together. So instead of just keeping my loop over here and taking my working yarn to the loop, I'm taking my loop to where my working yarn keeps closest to this loop next to it. So that was round 2. Round 3, very simple again. We're going to be knitting 2 loops and then we're going to increase 1, and that is our sequence, and we repeat that sequence 5 times, so we should have a total of 15 loops at the end. And an increase is just pulling up a loop in between 2 loops that you previously have. So we want to be folding this guy kind of in half. So I'll also show you, this is the knit side out, and then if you look on the inside, this is the purl side. So we're trying to sandwich this as well as we're knitting so that the knit side is on the outside. So then here's our increase right here. And end on an increase. Now we're going to be getting pretty repetitive. It's going to be knitting these 15 for 10 rows. So from rounds 4 to 13, it's just knitting these. So if you want to go ahead and speed it up, that's all I'm going to be doing. Or if you want to knit along, so it'd be like 150 loops. I'm going to do one more and then I'm going to skip ahead so that I'm done all my rounds, just for video sake and memory sake, so I don't have to save a really long video and eat up some of my storage space, since this is pretty repetitive. So I'm going to skip ahead. You can pause, finish your rounds, and we'll meet back when we are on round 14. So this is what it's looking like after we've done 13 rounds. Round 14, we're going to knit and decrease sequence around, so 5 times, so that ends up with 10. We're just going to alternate our decreases. So knit 1, decrease the first one. I usually go left over right. Just taking those 2 loops together and you make 1 loop. Knit 1, right over left. Knit 1, left over right. Knit 1, right over left. Knit 1, left over right. So then we should have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 loops. Round 15, you're just going to knit around those 10. Now you're going to cut yourself a good 10 to 12 inch tail so that we can close off these loops. So I like to close off my loops and then stuff, just so I don't pull any loops out or something funky like that. So just taking my yarn tail from the inside to the outside of each one of these loops and not quite pulling tight until I get the stuffing in there, and then pulling tight at the end. So as you might have not, maybe you've guessed, this is the top and this is the bottom. So when you're stuffing it, make sure that your bottom has a really good stuffed base. So I'm going to add my stuffing now. So here it is all stuffed, and then gently pull bottom closed. You can kind of adjust if you get stuck in a spot. Then take your yarn tail into the middle and back out, creating a loop and then pulling it through that loop. Once, twice. And then tuck that away. Trim it if it's really long. Create the base there. Squish a little bit. Just kind of shape your frog. So next we want to add the eyes. So we're going to pull up some loops. They're 2 by 2 by 1. So we'll start at the front, about here. Find 2 spaces where you can pull up 2 loops. So I'm going to start with my tail on the inside. 1. Come here. Sometimes it's hard if you're like trying to squish through. There we go. So there's 1, 2. Then turn it. Do a loop to the side. Turn it. 2 to the back. And we're pulling up from the middle of the eye to the outside. There's that. Oh, and I should have probably left a little bit of a longer tail. You want to probably leave like a good 4 to 6 inch tail so you can tie it off here. And then last one more, turning it, and it's from here, there. So there's, ignore the tails, 1, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Tie, double tie the tail to the working yarn, and then tuck the tail into the middle. Now, if you need to use your stitch marker to keep track, that's fine. But we're just going to knit around those 6. And 6. So now we're going to be casting off these. So sandwich your loops together. Take your working yarn and take the last and then the first loop. And then you're going to take them together and then pull up a loop that's a little bit bigger than both of those. And do the next one. And then you're going to take the right one here over the left one like so. Now if you want to use your safety eyes, this would be a good time. You want to take the back into the middle and then your front right through that stitch and click it so that when you do your next cast off the safety eye, you don't have to worry about getting the back in there. Like I said, I don't have the other back for my other one. As much as I love the look of them, I have 2 frogs with safety eyes already, and so I will do embroidered eyes for this guy. But first, we need to cast off last one. So then just leave this loop. You're going to cut again a good 6 inch tail, and you're going to take your working yarn through, the bottom part of the eye, and then take the loop and take that working yarn tail through this loop. Pull it tight, and then I'm just going to anchor it out here in the body. So go through and then through that space, tighten. And then I'm going to actually go through that last cast off because it's sticking out funny. And I'm just going to anchor it. If yours didn't stand out funny, then just do another anchoring point. Okay, so whichever side, this one is probably going to be the front. It's kind of the way I was building it. So we're just going to repeat that on the other side. The eyes have to be pretty close together just to make sure that you have enough space for all the loops to fit. And over here. There it is. Again, make sure I don't lose that tail. Then 2 on the back. Keep adjusting all my loops, keep pulling them funny. And then 1 in the middle. Then tie. Tuck that away. And knit around. Then we're going to cast off. So first and last together, working yarn to the back, pull up. Doesn't have to be super bigger, just a little bit bigger to get through both of them. Just pull and adjust. And I'm going to anchor this. Probably should have done some bigger loops. They're just a little bit smaller than my other eye, so there's a little more tension, but I just try to pull on it and adjust. It's a handmade item. If it's a little bit different, it's okay. And if it bothers me enough, I'll just go ahead and tear this one eye out and redo it with less tension. But I sometimes just muscle it so it looks, try to get it molded the same. So there's our eyes added on top. And if you've added the safety eyes, you already have your safety eyes in. We're going to add the embroidery at the end when I add all the face details. We're going to move on to the hands next. So for the arms and the hands, you're going to leave a good 4 to 6 inch tail that you can use to attach the arm onto the body. You're going to create your slip knot, and again, keep your tension pretty tight, your loop's pretty small. You're going to chain on a total of 6. So that's our chain. Now you're going to take this last loop, and there's 1, 2, and then down to this third. So that's the last loop, second last, third last loop, down to that one, and then take your working yarn and pull up a loop through those 2, and this is going to count as 1, and then you're going to chain 2 more. Then you take this loop back down to that same space, and then do the same thing, pull up 1 loop, counts as 1, and then chain 2 more, and then take it down, and then you can kind of adjust them. These are meant to be like the little fingers, so you don't want them twisted or anything. Kind of looks like a clover too. Then pull up through there. Now we've got this loop, and we've got 1, 2, 3 spaces still down the arm. So we're gonna cast off down the arm. So pull up a loop like this, and then take this loop over the one that you just pulled up down the arm, and continue. Again, don't make your loops super tight, but not super loose. Find a good tension all the way down. And then again, cut yourself a good 4 to 6 inch tail. Then you're going to pull that through. Adjust my little hand. Now take it to your froggy, and then I usually go down straight from the eye and maybe just 1 column over. So just 1 column in, but up nice and high, probably around 2 or 3 spaces down. And then you take 1 yarn tail through the space, and you want the arm to be vertical. And then this one, like so. Tie them tight. Trim your yarn tails if they're quite long. And then, because this is usually really tight, trying to get it down into that hole that we pulled them up through, I usually use a pokey stick or my scissors if they're not super sharp. And you tuck it away. There we go. So there's 1 arm. So now we'll repeat the same thing for the other side, and we'll meet back, and then I'll show you how to do the feet, and then we just have to do the face. So here he is with his arms. He looks cute even just like this. If you didn't want to add any feet, that's fine. I'm hoping I'm going to have enough. I did make something really small with this yarn. So honestly, 32 yards is going to be tight. If you knit a little bit bigger than me, you might need a little bit more than a skein. So for the feet, we are going to start, you actually are going to need quite a bit of a tail, because you're going to take the tail and you're going to weave it up so you can help to attach. So you're going to chain 3, so slip knot, 2 and 3. Now you knit 3, so knit back through that 1, 2, and 3. Now we're going to do a decrease and then a knit. So the decrease, you want to take your left over your right, pull up a loop, and then knit 1. And then we're going to decrease again, but it's going to be right over left. So that's the little flipper foot. And then this counts as, so that's the decrease. and we're going to chain on 6. 1, 2, 3, 1, 6. If you wanted to do shorter or longer, whatever, then you're going to take, so then once you've done that, take this tail, pull it through the last loop. Now take this tail and we're going to weave it up this leg. So just back and forth, find some spaces. That makes sense. And if you weave it too tight, you will curl the chain. So keeping it fairly loose. All the way up, and we've got 2 yarn tails now at the top. So then take your frog, and if you want him to sit and then have his legs a little bit forward, but kind of go down straight from the middle of the eye, right about there, and then do the same thing. Take 1 yarn tail through, take the other yarn tail through and out the same spot. And sometimes in my tutorial tests, some people will say, well, I like to attach everything before I stuff it. And that's up to you as well if you want to do that. I just find, I don't know why, I usually don't find a good place to place them, and then I end up moving them once it's stuffed anyways. Ooh, hold still. It's hard to do this and film at the same time. It keeps moving around. I usually knit quite close to myself, so I'll use like my body to hold the stuffy straight. So there's our little froggy foot. So I'm gonna have to scrounge out some more of this to make the other one, but we'll move on to the face. So I found some more. So I got this, and I think I have enough I can maybe try to make a frowny or a mouth that sticks out more if you just don't want to do the embroidered mouth, but we'll do the eyes first. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. The black blanket yarn is usually what I start with. And I'm going to go in from really far down, like in the body, and then come back out wherever I think the pupil should be. Now, this is going to be hard because your stitches are one way. And depending how big you want the eyes will depend how many times you go around. And you could also just tie chunky yarn onto a stitch in the eye as well. I just find with the blanket yarn it does create a cleaner look and maybe easier to give it some personality. It's going to take a few though, because this is a big space for the eye. I have to come at it this way. So I'm just kind of moving my yarn around with my thumb. I might have to go into the other stitch as well, just to get enough black in here. But I'm gonna run out of yarn here soon, so I'm gonna have to come out. So one more round. Make sure I'm covering the green as best as I can, and then come back out where my other tail is. And I don't tie anything off until I have completed both eyes. Just in case I have to move something, it's easier to just pull this yarn out than cut it and waste the yarn, because you can use it again. Even if you cut it like this, you're probably going to use the same amount of yarn. again, to fix your eye. Now, you could just leave it with the black and then add the other one there, or just add the white. This is a little tricky because I'm going through the body and then up into the eye. And then I'm just going to add one little thing of white because I don't know if I'm going to keep it or not. I really wish I could find the other back of that safety eye because I do like the look of that, but a whole other issues with those as well. Oh no. So I pulled it a little too tight. I should probably do a couple more rounds, but if you don't want to, I'm just going to pull this back out a bit, adjust it, and then you can also trim some of the yarn there on the outside just so the white shows up more. But then I would cut this, and then I would finish the other one and get them as close as possible, and then I would tie off the ends. So now we're going to go on to the mouth. So of course this embroidered eye went much smoother than the first one. But here's the difference. So this is the safety eyes, and then I used chunky yarn to do the mouth on this guy. And then this is the other guy I have, and he's got safety eyes, but I used blanket yarn and I made a frown on him. And we're going to try something different on this one. So these are definitely options, and it's very easy to do with the blanket yarn, and you do the same thing with chunky. You wouldn't need your needle though. You just come in from outside and then go down to the middle, up and down, and then back out, and then you would tie it off. So that's how you make a mouth, nice and simple. But if you want to create like a 3D effect, we're going to surface crochet, surface knit, whatever you want to call it, on top. But first tie off your ends if you haven't done so, like so, and then you can tuck them away. So I'll do that, and then we'll meet back for the mouth. If you want to create more 3D mouth, you take the same color yarn, and then you're going to have to try to decide, like, do I want to go up? Do I want to go straight across? I don't know if this smile will look as good with this, but I kind of want to do like an up and frowny thing. So I'm going to start. So it's going to go straight. You might need to use your stitch markers for this. Stitch markers. Just so I can visualize where is that one? That one's like under the pupil, and then there. So that would be what I'm going for. So then if you want to work right to left, left to right, whatever. So then leave a good tail, pull up a loop, then go to the one next to it, and just follow your stitch markers. And I think it's going to have to be up a little bit more. Just seems like a really big stitch. Basically getting up right under the eyes. And these are going to have to be, I think, fairly big. A little bit bigger than what I'm making, actually. There we go. And this one. So if you want to cast them off while you're going, or if you just want to pull up all your loops first, because I think if you pull up all the loops first, you'll get a pretty good idea of the shape, and then you won't have to undo it all if you mess up or decide that that's not where it should be. Again, I keep going small. I like to knit small. So just a little bit bigger. So how many did we do? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Seems fair. Seems right. So starting from right to left. Probably should have made these a little bit bigger. Oh, one there. Aha! So tighten this one and then cut my tail on this one. And go through that last loop. Ooh. Did I keep it even? Yep. And then I'm just gonna anchor this end over here. Tie it off once, twice. Tuck it away. And same thing over here. Probably should do this one twice because there we go. Tuck away. So there is Mr. Pouty Grumpy Frog. Frumpy Frog 2.0. Thank you everyone who supported me through the first one. It was one of my very first tutorials and I got a lot of positive comments on it, and I did get some very good feedback and critique, but I also was getting a lot more just plain negative comments. So I decided to remake it, and I have taken that video down. If you absolutely want to see the original Frumpy, it is still there. You just need to ask me for the link. Thanks again for your support, guys.